Good evening and welcome to the show. We have an exciting show for you tonight. We have Richard Egan. He's going to be talking about suicide statistics and prevention. Then we're going to be talking about the test site, nuclear waste, transportation, and things like that. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to get a pad and pencil and copy down some of the information because I know it's going to be a lot and I want you to be able to absorb it all. This is going to be a fantastic show tonight. And just want to thank you for tuning in and watching Nye County. I'm going to start by introducing my first guest, Richard Egan. We call him Rick. He's also a retired Senior Master Sergeant in the Air Force, and everybody knows I was in the Air Force, so very proud to have you. So Rick, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that.
Okay, so some of the things I just mentioned that we're going to be talking about, tell us more about it. I'd like to know more about suicide prevention, what we need to do, how do we prevent it. We're talking about our citizens, our residents. We're also talking about military and veterans. So go ahead.
Oh, not a problem. And so when it comes to suicide prevention efforts, one of the biggest things that we are working with is we are working with breaking down the stigma and the taboo, bringing more awareness to it. So how do we bring awareness to it? The fact that individuals in our communities are taking their lives across the whole lifespan. We have youth taking their lives, young adults, middle-aged, and our elderly. Our elderly are taking their lives at a very high rate in the state of Nevada. We're actually second in the nation for the suicide rate amongst our elderly. And if we look at the statistics across the United States, we also have our middle-aged white male. Our middle-aged white male, if you narrow it down by age, sex, and race, it is our highest suicide rate.
Okay.
When we look at our young adults and our youth, that area there, we lose so many years of life. In 2013, the state of Nevada lost 9,700 years of life in our state to suicide. And we need to put that into perspective. Okay, so in 2013, we've had 541 individuals take their life in our state. In that same year, we had 151 homicides. We had 258 automobile accident deaths in our state. So even combining those other two does not equal the amount of people that are taking their own lives. And so that's some of the statistics that are going on in our state, in our nation. We are sixth in the nation. There's 5 other states with a higher suicide rate than we have. And in our nation in 2013, which is the newest numbers from CDC, we had 41,149 suicides across our nation.
And you said, where do we rank in the nation?
6 currently, as of 2013 numbers.
And we don't want to be at number 6.
We want to be 7, 8, 9, anything.
How about
at
50?
A lower. I would love to be 50.
50, that'd be perfect, okay.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask too, when you mention young adults, are we talking middle school, high school? Where are we with the young adults?
Our youth, in statistics, we look at 17 and under for youth.
Okay.
Our young adults, 18 to 24, our middle age, 25 to 64, and our elderly, 65 and above.
Okay.
That's pretty standard across the United States when you're looking at statistics. Now, the other thing is you have to understand that a suicide rate is based on 1 suicide per 100,000. And so even if our population is different than another state, those suicides rate are comparable, oranges to oranges, apples to apples.
Okay. What about some of the prevention measures? What do we do there?
As I mentioned, the first prevention measure is the suicide awareness, the alertness, breaking down the taboo and stigma. That's what shows like this do. Suicide prevention walks. We had a suicide prevention walk here in Pahrump on the 12th of September, where we had individuals come out and express that they wanted to walk and raise awareness for suicide prevention efforts.
Outstanding.
That's the first one. The second area we look at is our youth. Our youth, middle school and high school, we have programs across the whole state of Nevada. It's called Signs of Suicide, and it is taught in the school district for middle school and high school. 2 different programs geared specifically to that age group. Then we jump into some other programs that we have across the state, which also include suicide talk, which is, again, breaking down the awareness, and then Safe Talk, which is suicide alertness for everyone. Anyone can take the course. It's 3.5 hours to 4 hours, and you're certified to be alert to a person that might be having thoughts of suicide. Then the next course we have available is suicide intervention. That's 16 hours, 2-day course where we teach you to intervene, to assess the risk and build a safe plan with the individual, at the same time connecting them to resources within the community.
Now, if somebody was interested in signing up for one of these courses, who would they contact? What would they do?
They would contact my office, which is 702-486-8225, and we will hook you up with a class. We have a lot of classes that are starting out here in Nye County. Just a couple weeks ago, I was up in Tonopah, reaching out to Tonopah and breaking down some of that awareness piece of it. And so we'll be scheduling some classes out there. We have 2 classes coming up, one on the 16th of November here in Nye County, or excuse me, in Pahrump, and one on the 14th of January in Pahrump.
And where will these be?
They will be at the senior center. Is there a senior center?
The senior center, absolutely.
Absolutely. So at the senior center, we will have these 2 courses available.
Oh, that's...
And so to get the details, give my office a call, 702-486-8225.
Okay. Now, of course, I also want to talk about veterans because we have a large veteran population here. And I know across the country there are statistics on veterans who take their lives.
Absolutely. So we're focusing on 2013. And historically across the nation, 22 suicides a day, military veteran related. And so when we break that down to Nevada numbers, as we look at those, that first report, which combined some years, was 24.4% of Nevada suicides were military veteran related. The newest report I just got, we broke down the numbers and it reduced to 22%. So we're making some headway there.
Okay.
So even though our suicides went up from 2012 to 2013, the amount of military veteran percentage of those went down a little bit.
That's in the right direction.
Yes.
Of course, like we'd like it to be 0, but at least it's in the right direction.
Absolutely. Now, some of the other programs that we have going on across the state of Nevada, we have Shielded Care for Juvenile Justice. We also have Youth Mental Health First Aid. Youth Mental Health First Aid has a small suicide prevention component to it, but it's also avenue to break down the stigma about mental health issues.
Okay. Tell me more.
Tell you more. So, out there in the community, what you want to do is you want to look at risk factors. Risk factors can be stressful events in somebody's life, a prior suicide attempt, substance abuse, access to lethal means, family factors like divorce, disruption in normal family life, feelings of isolation and no purpose in life. Now, the warning signs for suicide, and if you see some of these, I'm going to give you some that are very, very important.
Okay.
Before I do that, I want to talk about the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Suicide Prevention Lifeline for veterans and for community members is the same with one difference. So that number is 1-800-273-TALK or 8255.
Okay.
And so for our military and veterans, all you have to do after you dial that number is press 1. And that is for military veterans or if you're calling for a military and veterans. So what are we looking at when we're looking at warning signs? We're looking at changes in a person's behavior, feelings, or beliefs about oneself for a period of 2 weeks or longer that are considered maladaptive, out of the ordinary for the individual. The 3 red flags we're going to look at is threatening to hurt or kill oneself in any fashion, to include joking about it. And so how about talking or writing about their own death? That's a red flag. Talking or writing about ending their life is such a red flag that you want to take action on that. If you hear somebody doing that, call the 800 number. Get guidance. Now, these other ones that I'm going to go over, we want to understand that a person with thoughts of suicide, it's not just one thing that leads them to that thought. It's usually a combination of things. So some of those other things that might be going on, feelings of hopelessness, feeling rage or uncontrolled anger, acting reckless, feeling trapped, increased alcohol or drug misuse, abuse, withdrawing from friends and family and society, feeling anxious or agitated, experience dramatic mood changes, seeing no reason to live. And so some of these things that you might hear a person express, find out what that means to them. And if you need help, call the 800 number. They'll guide you on what you're hearing to be able to intervene with that individual and connect them to resources in the community. Because a lot of individuals with thoughts of suicide will be reaching out. The statistic says 90% of individuals will try to reach out to someone.
This is great information. And it's good because we know the individuals we're talking about. It's either friends or family.
Yes.
And since we know them, we would notice those changes, and we need to get them the help they need.
Absolutely. And some of the resiliency factors that you can look at, we want to educational programs. We look at 2-day intervention course, 4-hour prevention course. The trainings that are available, all these things teach protective factors also, which can be positive conditions, personal and social resources connected to family and friends, connectiveness within the community. And out here in Pahrump and Nye County, in your towns, I've seen that. Your community is connected, which can be a huge protective factor.
This is fantastic. With all the information, you mentioned too, before we went on the air, what's the cause or what's used in most of the suicides?
Most suicides, above 50%, it's actually 51% of all the suicides across the nation were completed with a firearm. In the Office of Suicide Prevention and with the Nevada Coalition for Suicide Prevention, all we want to express is safety and security of the firearms, especially if somebody is going through a crisis.
Safety and security. Because we believe in the Second Amendment.
Absolutely.
So we're not saying don't have a firearm, just know how to keep it out of the way of someone that might use it for suicides.
Absolutely.
And we talk about that quite a bit. One of the things I do want to say, Rick, is I really thank you for coming in today. This is something that I think everybody needs to hear about, everybody needs to concentrate on. We need to protect each other. And so, is there anything you'd like to close with? We have about 10 seconds left.
Tom, when it comes to our military and veterans, understand that they have sometimes
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here, and this is wonderful information.